Welcome to my review of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, the second fastest track on the calendar and a track that looks like a hair clip. And let's start with qualifying. And in Q1, Logan Sargent, who had a really tough time trying to set a perfect lap time. The first one, he went over the white line. The second, he spun around and his lap time wasn't very promising, so he started at the back. And Lando Norris, he hit the wall, so he didn't get another chance to get another run. Max Verstappen, there was a massive shock. His engine failed on him and he started P15. Ouch. And he could have set a lap time if he didn't make a mistake on the first lap, but it's just motor racing. These things happen. But it gave a big opportunity for Sergio Perez to get his second pole position at the same racetrack as he did last year. Charles Leclerc, he was second, and Fernando Alonso, he was third fastest, but starts P2 due to Charles Leclerc's 10th place grid penalty. And at the start of the Grand Prix, and 9 years of waiting for this to happen, Fernando Alonso has been leading a Grand Prix only for 4 laps, and when he overtook Sergio Perez at turn 1. But then Sergio Perez, he was able to re-overtook Fernando Alonso, but I think that'd be one of the best moments in Fernando Alonso's career, back in the lead since he was at Ferrari in 2014, and I think it was the Hungarian Grand Prix that he last led. But it's good to see Alonso being back ahead, and I do hope that one day he'll lead for the whole race. But what about his teammate Lance Stroll? What happened to him? Well, he had an engine problem during the race and he was able to park his car off the track. He was able to park it behind the barrier, and it was really tight because there was a crane in the way, and of course it is a street track, so there is going to be some tight spaces. And for some reason that we can't figure out why, the safety car came out. And what was the reason? The car was already off track, it's already behind the barrier, there was no danger whatsoever. And what was the point of it? And were McLaren able to score some points this time? Well, Oscar Piastri, he qualified in a pretty good P8. And that's his best qualifying position of the season at the moment. But in the race, he had contact, the front wing was broken, he had to make a box. And most of the race, McLaren were behind, and it's been another hard day for McLaren, no points, and at the moment they are the worst team of the season, and that is not a place we want to see McLaren. We want to see them further up, we want to see them scoring points, scoring podiums, and also scoring more wins like they've done in the past. And the first 2 races have been really disappointing. They've been having a lot of bad luck. Where's it coming from? I have no idea, but I do hope those problems will all go away. But where was Max Verstappen in this whole race? Well, he was up to the max and he was on for a real charge up the grid. He was P15 and he went up to P2, and I think he's been doing so well, and I could definitely see him being a 3-time world champion, or maybe we might see a good rivalry between him and his teammate Sergio Perez. But it is really good to see him finishing in the points but not having the engine problem during the race, because if it wasn't during qualifying and if it was during the race, he would have lost a lot of points. And in qualifying, well, you don't get points wherever you start. I mean, the points only happen in the race, so at least it was better having it sooner than later. And we've seen a great battle for the last point of the race between Yuki Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen. And Yuki Tsunoda, he did so well defending Kevin Magnussen for a few laps, but then Kevin Magnussen, he was able to overtake him. They both locked their front wheels, but were still able to get to turn 1 and 2. And I think it's really good to see some battles for the teams that have been very unlucky at the last race. And well done to Kevin Magnussen for scoring the last point and the first point for Haas this year. And it's high five for Sergio Perez, who takes his 5th win in Formula 1 and his 4th on the street track. And he seems to find it much easier to race on street tracks than he is on normal racetracks, as we've been noticing. And Max Verstappen, he finishes P2, which is a good place to finish when you've started 15th on the grid. And as for the green label, Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, he scores his 100th podium in Formula 1. Or did he? Because Fernando Alonso, he took his 5-second penalty. Well, 2.5 because it was during the safety car. And the reason why he took the penalty, because he was out of position when he was parking his car on the grid. And that's happened before to many cars in the past, and they never received penalties for that. So why give it to Alonso now? And when he was taking his 5-second penalty, the jackman already touched the car. They weren't working on it because you shouldn't work on it during the 5-second time period. But he touched the car and he was given a further 10-second penalty. So he had something similar to Ocon last race, and it put Alonso off P3 and puts him down to P4, which means George Russell is on the podium again, scores it for the first time this season. P3 for Russell, P4 for Fernando Alonso. But then the next morning, Fernando Alonso was given back his P3 because Aston Martin made a complaint to the FIA because they've seen other cars out of position before and they have not received any penalties. So Fernando Alonso, he did score P3 and he really has scored his 100th podium. And did he keep it? Yes, he did. And the rest of the grid are George Russell, who does stay in P4, Lewis Hamilton P5, Sainz 6th, Leclerc 7th, Ocon 8th, Gasly 9th, again like he was last time, and Kevin Magnussen scores his first points for the team and himself in P10. And that's it for my review of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Next time it's Australia, and can Oscar Piastri finally score some points at his home Grand Prix? And can he be the first ever Australian to score a podium at his home event? Not even Mark Webber or Daniel Ricciardo has accomplished. We'll find out soon. See you next time. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my other accounts down below.